I'm pretty sure I.
Can you hear us okay, Rachel?
Are you guys trying to put?
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Same. We're going to. And,
Rachel, can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
John, I could hear you.
Oh, okay.
Rachel's having technical issues. She'll be with you in a moment, I think.
Okay,
I can hear you also.
perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner, it's all yours.
All right, well, it's a little bit after 10 o'clock and I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Directors for the Cowlitz 911 Public Authority to order. The chairman sends his regrets. He's out of town, not able to join us today, so you have to put up with second best.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Perfect.
Let's have introductions for those at the board right now, and then we'll get the folks who are attending in the audience. So, Jim, we'll start with you.
Jim Campbikes, Long Beach Fire Department.
Troy Brightville, Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office.
Dark Kirk, Council Police Department.
Dennis Weber, Cowlitz County Commissioner.
Alan Headley, Cowlitz 2 Fire and Rescue.
Frank Randolph, City, District Attorney.
And your voting tonight.
Yep, Jim Kelly, alternate voting.
All right. We do have a quorum. Are there any changes to be made to the agenda?
We did send out a new agenda on Monday, I believe, with a couple of changes. So the one you saw Friday has a couple of additions. And those are items under 8, approval of Deer Island contract and the approval of procurement of equipment for radio microwave system. So those are additions since the Friday packet went out.
Thank you.
But we do not need to amend the agenda. They were given with proper notice.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Sorry, can we get the names? When you make a motion in a second, can you please state your name so Rachel can get it for the record?
Jim Kelly made the motion.
Dark Kirk second.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. And I see we have folks online, board members online. If you'll introduce yourselves.
Ruth Kendall, City of Longview.
Kirk Saha, City of Longview.
All right. And let's go around the room so we all know who else is attending, because although you're all on the screen, I doubt they can see you.
Scott Neves, Cowlitz 2 Fire and Rescue, alternate.
Richard Underdahl, Fire Chief, Winlock Fire and Rescue out of Lewis County.
Yeah, Wells, 911 staff.
Thank you. Anyone else on board for introductions?
I think we have Jerry. You there, Jerry?
Jerry is here. Jerry with Cowlitz 911 Supervisor.
And
Sammy too.
yeah, I saw Sammy there and Don Tarantine. Sammy, you with us?
Yep, Sammy Brown, Cowlitz 5.
Hi there.
Don Turntine, Cowlitz 911.
Super. Anyone else?
Brandon Poff is here.
Yep, I'm here. Cowlitz 6 and the fire tech chair.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. You've had an opportunity to review the minutes of the July 20th meeting. What are your wishes?
I move approval of the minutes as presented.
And
Alan Headley.
is there a second?
I'll second. This is Dark.
Dark seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, say no. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to bring a matter to our attention that is not already on the agenda?
There are no comments in the chat.
Thank you. No comments here. All right, we will move on to item number 5, the payables. Any questions about any of the accounts? They appear to be fairly regular. There. All right, hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the tables as presented.
I move to approve the payables as presented. This is Kurt.
Thank you.
Second, Alan Headley.
Ellen seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion also carries unanimously. Next item is our financial report.
All right, so just pointing out the major things. Our revenues for the year are looking good. We're bringing in a little bit more interest than we projected, and sales taxes coming in higher than projected. I believe by the end of the year, we'll be about the 3 million mark. The only other things are there's a couple line items that we have that are either in the negative or pretty low. Office supplies, we purchased a whole bunch of new admin cell phones, so we pulled them from that line. So that's why that line item's pretty low. And then airfare as well. We sent 4 people to APCO, so that line is pretty low. Other than that, it's pretty standard for what we would expect. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions? Hearing no questions. Thank you. Appreciate that information. Next, board comments and committee reports. How about our law tech report?
This is Troy. Nothing new to report. No meetings this month. We have a lot of calls and a lot of people on vacation, so we'll have our next one in 2 weeks.
Okay. And fire tech?
Braden, you want me to speak to that?
Yep, go ahead. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, this is Sammy Brown, District 5. We have continued to work on an operations/training manual, and Longview's taking the lead on that, and it's moving forward. Also, we had a representative from ImageTrend come speak to us about the pros and cons of a regional account, and it was very interesting, very informative. However, there are a lot of cons in regards to the control that each agency would have or in fact wouldn't have with a regional account. So that is still up for discussion. We'll follow it up next fire tech meeting with some more questions for the ImageTrend rep and proceed as appropriate.
All right. Any questions for the committee? All right, hearing none, let's move on to our director's report and a staffing update.
All right, staffing update. The staffing remains the same as it was in the last meeting. We have 21 dispatchers extraordinaire. We have, actually, there's one change, 1 in training and 20 to the schedule. We had 1 sign off just last week. So we are in the shape that everyone else is in. We're short staffed. We attended a conference, a few of us attended a conference in Southern California last week. There was a room full of probably 130-ish agencies across the country, and they asked for a raise of hands as to who was fully staffed, and 2 agencies raised their hands. So we are in the same position as many other of our counterparts across the country. As to climate and culture, again, steady work, steady improving. As many of you may have seen, yesterday the governor signed proclamation that September 11th will be 911 day. It kind of is inclusive of communications as well as all public safety. If you haven't seen that, it's out there now. So we'll be doing something with that in the beginning of September. Our facility update. Deanna, I did not hear back from my message yesterday. Have you heard anything?
No.
Okay. We were hoping to have an actual date, substantial completion date, but again, that's kind of a vague thing that exists in the world that no one is sharing with us anyway. I will say that the last 2 weeks, we've made substantial progress in the right direction. There's still a few questions, a few issues between the three parties, us as the owners and the contractor and the architects that we work through regularly. We have meetings weekly with them. But in some of the things that were the major sticking points over the last couple of months have made tremendous progress in the last couple of weeks. So we feel confident. I think we, right, Deanna, or just me?
About
being in there in December. I feel confident. Deanna wants to feel confident.
I just keep looking at the subcontractors' faces when that's said, and I'm trying to read them and go like,
Yeah. Well, we are making our
We're
very
pushing.
best effort and intend to be dispatching from the new center in December.
So what are the odds on Valentine's Day?
We'll be in there in December.
real good.
We'll be there in December.
All right.
And that's what we're hanging our hat on.
It is interesting, in the last several months, I've been getting questions from people in the public that I ran into. So when is it opening? You know, they're aware that it's there, obviously, and
Yeah, we've had comments that the folks that built the radio tower that's on site, they reached out to me about a month ago and said, hey, we're the ones that built the radio tower. And now that it's all done and you guys are moved in, we'd like to come get a video. No, sorry, can't do that. And then yesterday I had a couple of local people from EMS and the medical program director for the county that just dropped by. They thought we were there, and we just happened to be there doing some reviews, and so we gave them a tour of our unfinished product. But yeah, some people think it's done, some people are still waiting for it. We're still waiting for it. So we'll get there.
so you don't want to dare add a grand opening on December 20th sign to put out there for people?
I do. I do. I'll have one printed as my hopeful intent. Radio update. We do have a couple of items here, and I will turn this over to Deanna. If you'd like to address those, Deanna.
Okay. Do you want me to go up there? So that
If
I
you would,
can turn around?
please.
Okay, the first thing is the Deer Island lease. Mark Pallins, before he passed away, had worked on this for a while with Bob Gray, who's the representative for Schuyler, or what do they call themselves? Integer Associates Incorporated. So I kind of picked up where they had left off, had multiple conversations and contracts, negotiations back and forth. So the lease packet was sent out Tuesday morning, maybe to you guys. I don't know if you had a chance to go through that. If you have any questions about it. The initial lease is for 10 years with the option to renew it for 3 5-year terms after that. There are some connection and relocation fees. I think they total about $7,500. A tower inspections included in that. The monthly fee is $1757.88 to rent tower space and 3 racks inside their shelter. There's a section in here that I just want to bring to your attention, and it's in section 6, and it says other provisions. And it talks about common expenses shall be 100%. there's no one else in this shelter but us. And so when they talk about common expenses, that's everything from maintenance on the HVAC system, the generator, weed control. If there's something wrong with the shelter and it has to be repaired, we would be 100% responsible for those costs. I did have a conversation with Bob, and we talked at length about this, just because for me, I don't want just an open checkbook of, well, hey, the HVAC system went out, so we need to replace it. So we had some pretty in-depth conversation about that, and there's a little more room for some negotiating to kind of tighten that up a little bit so that it's not just this open checkbook thing. I did propose to him, what if we paid for HVAC and the generator maintenance and just put it on our contract with our other sites? And he was open to that. So I think that's kind of a better plan, maybe, and that we have an inspection done prior to moving in to make sure that the equipment's up to par before we actually go in there. But those are kind of my recommendations. And my recommendation would be that you approve this today and we move forward with building out that site.
So we'll finalize that contract with those stipulations.
Yeah.
So that we're not just on the hook for anything. That was a great catch by Deanna, and having that preventive maintenance as ours, then we are aware of the condition of the facility without being surprised by it.
Is there potential for future tenants that could come in and share some of that as well?
Absolutely, there could be. I know that T-Mobile used to occupy one of their shelters there and they no longer do. I don't know why or, anything, but I know that T-Mobile at one time was in there.
Is that something that can be
If
incorporated into the
it
agreement?
would be prorated, and they talk about other subleasers at that location that they prorate the costs
Okay.
and divide that amongst the folks that are utilizing that.
So and that same clause, section 6A, where it talks about 100%, it goes on to say, as defined by section 7, and there is no section 7.
Oh, there should be a section 7. There is. Because I printed it out, because that's where I got all the deets. Limited common expenses, page 5.
Have you had a chance to review the thing?
Oh, that's definitely under definitions.
Yeah.
Okay, it's definition. It's a little bit.
So we're asking for approval to finalize this lease, knowing that there will be a couple of still changes pending to it that will run by legal before we sign.
Thank you. Are there any other questions about the proposal?
Just procedural, I guess, would it be better to just authorize John to sign it once it's finalized? Then
That's it.
I would make that motion that we authorize the director to be able to sign the agreement once all the stipulations have been ironed out.
Right. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Roy, I'll second.
Roy seconds. Any further discussion?
Spring had a chance to review.
I have, but I concur. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing no opposed, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for that.
Next item is procurement of equipment.
Okay, so at the last meeting, I kind of brought up the fact that we need to start purchasing these microwaves so we can start the replacement projects. We do have a grant application out. I worked with Rachel a little bit on the finances to see where we were in capital improvement reserve funds and the current balance on the remainder of funds from the facility project. Right now, equipment is taking anywhere from 6 to 12 months. I think Troy can vouch for me here. to receive radio equipment, pretty much of any kind, and it's kind of hit and miss. We're still waiting on parts for our Abernathy site. We got the microwaves, but we don't have the other radio parts that we need. If we don't start ordering this stuff, we're gonna be another year out before you can even start these projects to start replacing the microwaves. The plan with the replacement of the microwaves is all of our primary sites, and then we also have like receive sites that are much smaller microwaves that are more in the range of $5,000 or $6,000 a piece versus, $140,000 for the large microwave and ancillary parts. We have around 600,000 in a reserve for capital replacements for radio. Rachel's projected that we're probably going to be about $400 over what they had projected for the 1/10 of 1% revenue. We have about a little over 1.1 million in the facilities budget.
Just to clarify, you said $400, I think it's 400,000.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. And if we used 1 million of that, it could be a combination. We could take it out of the capital improvements just to start the ordering process of this equipment. I did talk to Colin at Herrera's office about the grant. He was looking for some kind of written documentation that says, hey, this is how the rules of the grant work. I don't think he found it because I haven't received anything yet, and that's been about a week ago. He said, I don't think it's an issue. I don't know that there are those kind of restrictions on that. If you were to order the equipment now or purchase the equipment now and then reimburse it from that grant. If somebody else knows anything different,
It really depends on the grant, from what I've seen.
yeah. But regardless, we have to do this. And either we start spending the money now to order, or we wait and push the replacements of these microwaves out, another year.
The reality is, if that stipulation is on the grant, we do have the funds to be able to start purchasing equipment.
So quick math, do we have 2.1? Is that what I'm adding up? The 400, the 600, and the 1.1, and
Yeah.
the grant is additional 2.1 or 2.2?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you have a place.
And just in equipment right now, just equipment is over 2 million just to purchase equipment. If I could just purchase $1 million worth of equipment and just get started so that we're starting these projects, because we'll do one site at a time. And that will give us some leeway. We should know something between September and February, Dennis, on the grants?
Federal budget.
Well,
Or they may not even come through. I mean, we still got to do
after the
the
primary results, I don't know. I wouldn't make any kind of prediction. I think it's going to be pretty chaotic for the next several months.
Yeah.
Kind of good backing it up, right?
I know Colin's looking for a job, so.
I have a question, if I could. The reserves that we currently have on hand that we're looking to utilize for the purchase of this equipment, were these reserves in place for that purpose? Or did we have them dedicated for another use, but we just wish to kind of borrow from them at this time?
We currently do have a $600,000 radio reserve. So it is earmarked for this type of purchase or this type of work.
Okay. I know there's been many comments there. I truthfully hope that we can secure this grant moving forward. However, I will tell you, even for those that we've secured here at the city through Congresswoman Herrera Butler's office, I'm very concerned. Obviously, with the results of the election, I'm not sure we should bank on any of this funding coming forward.
So, Rachel, are you able to pull up that replacement schedule?
Yeah, I
Because
was gonna say, we budgeted 475,000 for microwaves, a Hall of Justice repair, and a muck shelf. And then we budgeted the other up to the 600,000 for an emergency microwave that I believe we pulled from the project budget instead. Is that accurate, Deanna?
Yep, we did.
Okay, so we still have that 600,000. And I believe those microwaves and that hall adjuster surveyor would be part of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I put together, I think it's a 5-year schedule for the replacement of the microwaves, but I don't think we should wait that long. We need to get this done. I mean, there are some parts that are, I don't remember the technical name, but basically to act like a voter that we would replace once we get all of these microwaves replaced, that will be off of the T1 and will go to an IP based where they can remotely monitor, and the timing is done a lot different. I currently have a piece of timing equipment that's kind of the brains of the timing, and it's failing. It's like 30 years old, and we have got to transition away from that. And I don't think you're going to last another 5 years if we follow that transition plan.
So again, Mr. Saha does make a great point.
Yep.
And to that point, some of these projects we can start and do with funds that we currently have.
Right.
Aside from counting on the grant.
In the worst case scenario, if we got nothing out of the grant, we still be.
We would, but it would just take longer.
Right.
Because we've already planned to do these replacements over this 5-year schedule. So it would just take us longer.
Yeah, the only point I would make is I don't believe I could support spending money we don't have. So for the reserves that we do have on hand, you wish to move ahead, I could support that. But anything beyond what we have on hand, I don't believe I could support that.
And we do currently have a little over this $1 million. We're asking for up to $1 million to purchase equipment. And we do have that on hand at this time
In the reserve,
in the reserve.
not even talking about that 1.1 million on the facility budget that is not allocated. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
So yes, we're asking for approval to spend up to $1 million to purchase radio infrastructure.
So then the balance would come to be a later decision to dip into the
Yeah.
facilities fund.
I'd make that motion. Let's spend up to $1 million.
There's been a motion made by Darv for spending up to $1 million on procuring the equipment. Is there a second?
All right, I'll second.
Troy seconds. Any further discussion? Kurt, are you clear on the limits?
Yes, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Hearing no no's. No.
All those?
That motion carries unanimously. All right, old business, travel policy. John?
The travel policy has been updated from the comments that we had from our last meeting, ensuring that the language is correct. We did adjust the language to approve the GSA rates in each section, et cetera. So it was only language cleanup from what we had last time. So we're asking to approve that policy.
Any further questions?
I have a comment, concern maybe, if you'd like. I've reviewed the policy. I think it looks good. I do have one small concern with other family members section. I'm not sure we ought to support the cost of registrations for anyone other than our employee.
Where's that at?
Yeah, I thought we had taken.
It's on the last page, section D, family members. Yes, that was gonna be my same comment.
Okay.
Question about.
Yeah, that was supposed to be removed. I apologize.
Yeah, we were to remove that. I apologize. We're unable to do that in gift of public funds, et cetera. So that, yes, that section was to be removed. I apologize. That's still there, but we'll take that out.
So let's handle that when we get to the motion. Let's make sure the motion mentions eliminating the section on other family members. That way we'll be clear on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of travel policy with the exclusion of the other family members section. That's Alan.
Alan Headley made the motion with the exclusion.
I'll second. Kurt.
Kurt seconds. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing no one opposed, this motion carries unanimously. Budget Committee report.
Okay, I have sent out an email. I've only had 2 responses for availability. So hearing no others, I'm just from the 6 committee members that we gained last month. So this week, either later today or tomorrow morning, I'll be sending out a schedule for our first meeting to start moving forward with our budget committee. We have the folks that we need to do it, and we're just planning on meeting. I anticipate it'll be Tuesday of next week.
All right, thank you. Any questions about that? Next, do we have an executive session for today?
We do indeed. We have an executive session per the RCW is listed 42.30.110(1)B, considering real estate purchase.
And how long do you think this will take?
15.
15 minutes. I think we'll call it 20 just in case.
And there is nothing else listed. Any other items that need to be brought up? Didn't hear any. Okay,
So Rachel, if you would put us in a different room in the meeting, and then we'll ask others to step out.
Forward. Thank you.
And Deanna and myself will remain for discussion.
I think you have to click join on your screen as well to go out of the main room.
You think I can see that? I don't see another room to join, Rachel.
Let's see. Oh, is this one?
There we
Is that
go.
one working?
So for those of us joining online, we've come out of executive session and we're on break until 5 minutes to 11.
Are they talking? Oh, no, they're just,
No.
I could hear somebody speaking, so.
John, you're still on mute for when the time comes up.
Muted. Oh, there you go. Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
All right. We are at 5 minutes to 11, and it's time for us to resume our board meeting. And the most important item of the whole meeting is item number 11, adjournment. Are there any objections for us adjourning the meeting? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Thank you for coming. Let's do this again next month.